Okay, we're going to talk about solving two-step equations. Okay, obviously when we say two-step equations, they're going to look like something like this: 3x minus 2 equals 4. Now, the reason they're two steps is because you have subtraction and you have multiplication. Okay, so when solving multi-step equations, you always do the addition and subtraction first. Okay, so we do the addition and subtraction first. We do the inverse operation. So just like we've done in future sections, but you still don't really have this down very well, but we just got to do it. So this is what we're trying to do the inverse of, subtracting 2. So that would be 3x minus 2 plus 2, and that would be 4 plus 2. Okay, what we do to one side, we must do the other side. We did the inverse of subtracting 2, which is adding 2. We add 2 to both sides. Now on this side, the adding 2 and subtracting 2 cancel each other out because they're the inverse of each other. On the other side, we have 4 plus 2, which is what? 6. And so on this side, I have 3x left, so I bring it down. So you're left with 3x equals 6. No, because to solve, we're trying to get the variable by itself. The variable is not by itself because it still has a 3 in front. So therefore, we must do the inverse of multiplication, which means we must divide both sides by 3. Over here, 3 over 3 is 1, so that leaves us with 1x. Over here, it's 3 into 6, which is 2. And that means x equal 2. And that is the solution to the problem. Okay? Let's look at another one. Let's say we have negative 7x plus 5 equals negative 9. Okay, once again, addition and subtraction first. We have addition, so the inverse of addition is the subtraction. So we have negative 7x plus 5 minus 5 equals negative 9 minus 5. Okay, remember the step that we added to both sides was the subtracting of 5. On the left side of the equation, the 5 and negative 5 cancel each other out, or the 5 and the subtracting 5, leaving me with negative 7x. On the right side of the equation, I have negative 9 plus negative 5, because we have to change all subtraction to addition. Now, negative 9 and plus negative 5 is what? Negative 14. So, now what I have left then is negative 7x equal negative 14. I have negative 7 divided into both sides. That cancels. Gives me x is equal to negative 7 goes into negative 14 2 times. Well, then you've done something wrong. Or I'm not. It'll always end up where the 2 cancel each other out if you've done it right. So, for example, if that would have been 8x, negative 8x, then we divide by negative 8. If it's 9x, we divide by 9. Okay, it's whatever is in front of the variable, that's what you divide by. because that's the inverse. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. 9y plus 14, plus 4 equal negative 14. What'd you get, Gracie? Y equal what? 52? 2? No. Close. Huh? It's negative 2.
Because of 14. No.
So, you have 9y plus 4 minus 4 equal negative 14 minus 4. Once again, this is the part that we added to the equation. So we'd scratch those two out, leaving me at 9y equals, this is negative 14 plus negative 4, which is negative 18. Okay, then we divide by 9 to both sides. Cancels over here, leaving me with y, and that gives me y is equal to negative 2. Seems like we have a lot of answers of 2. No. It just happens the ones I'm picking are ending up 2. Okay. Yeah, if it was, and even if you had this is one that for some reason, and I understand why people would freak out, but like, let's say we had this. Let's say we got down to this step here, and it was 9y is equal to negative 26. Okay? At this point, you're like, oh no, I've done something wrong. No, you still do the same thing. It's still divide by 9. Now it's just, yeah, I can. 2 and 8/9. It's just an improper fraction. See what I mean? Y'all freak out. Oh, it doesn't work. We got to have whole numbers. We only deal with whole numbers. No, we never just dealt with whole numbers. Okay? So understand that it can. I don't believe it does on any of the ones we're doing in this section, but eventually you're going to have, I think there's some on the board, there's like 36 over 16, a to the 14th power. Okay, eventually you're going to have to deal with numbers that aren't whole. Okay, so just understand that could happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whole number, but all the ones you're going to be dealing with today are. I'm going to put alternative example. So we don't think that's part of that problem. All right. Now, brings us to the ones that have fractions or division. X over 9 plus 2 equal negative 7. X over 9 plus 2 equal negative 7. Okay? Now, the same thing holds true here. It's still two different operations. Okay? We have division here. Okay, and we have addition here. Well, I just said that you do the addition and subtraction first. So that means I'm going to have x over 9 plus 2 minus 2 equal negative 7. Minus 2. Okay, once again, this is the part that we're using to solve, the subtracting 2. So, on this side, these two cancel, leaving me with x over 9 equals, well, negative 7 plus negative 2, because we have to change subtraction to addition. Negative 7 plus negative 2 is what? Negative 9. Here's where it's a little different, but it's just the inverse. Okay? In this problem, I am dividing 9 into the variable x. So the inverse of that operation is to multiply both sides of the equation by 9. Okay, so I have the inverse operation of division is multiplication. I divide both sides of the equation by 9. Multiply both sides of the equation by 9. So I multiply by 9 over here, and I multiply by 9 over here. On the left side, the 9s cancel each other out. Okay, leaving me with x. On the right side, I take negative 9 times 9 would give me what? What?
No, it's 81. What? 9 times 9 is 81. But it would be 0 because it's negative and positive. Yeah.
Well, there's a way to confuse all your rules.
What? Takes a lot.
No. It's 81.
But it's negative.
No, it's negative 81 because there's one negative sign. And when we're multiplying, the one negative sign means the answer is negative. So it is negative 81. Oh, yeah, it was real easy. She just went through 22 different rules.
No.
Hey, you can be upset at your chapstick later. Right now we need to be concerned with math. All right. Now, I want to do another one of those that has subtraction with it instead of addition. Okay, so we've got x over 5 minus 6 equals 5. Okay, once again, we do the addition or subtraction first. So that gives us x over 5 minus 6 plus 6 equal 5 plus 6. So the highlighted part in yellow is the part that we just put on the equation to solve it. Okay. Now, the subtracting 6 and adding 6 cancel each other out. Okay, and that leaves us with x over 5 equals 11. No, x is not by itself yet. Okay? Now, we're dividing by 5. Okay, so in this problem, we're dividing by 5. So the inverse of dividing by 5 is to do what? Multiply by 5. So I'm going to multiply by 5 to both sides. Now remember, that's just over 1. That's why we can cancel those two 5s. Okay? And that means I have x over 5, x is equal to what? Which is 55. Okay, so I want you to try this one. E over 9 minus 3 equals 3. And it's not 0, so don't say it's 0. Gracie? 81? How'd you get 81? Huh? How did you get 9? 3 plus 3 is 9?
3 times. No, 6. I did that too. I know it. I was multiplying.
Copeland? Negative 54?
Oh my God.
No. 54 is the answer. Now, E over 9 minus 3 plus 3 equals 3 plus 3, which for normal people would be 9. Right? Normal people would be 9? 6? Okay. Normal people, that would be 6. So E over 9 equals 6. So I would multiply by 9 to both sides. Those two cancel, leaving me with E. That leaves me with 54. What's your question, Juliana? What's your question? What part do you not get? Talking about this part here? This part? Okay, that would be the whole thing. Okay, do you understand where I got the plus 3? Okay. Okay. Where I got the plus 3 is because of that right there. So that's why I'm plussing 3 to both sides. And so when you get 3 plus 3, you get what? No. So yeah. You get 6. So you get that right there. Really? I did not know that. So that's where we got this 6. Okay. Now I'm just taking, let me rewrite it. E over 9 equals 6. And what they're saying is basically this. What can you divide 9 into? Okay, in other words, what they're doing, let me write it a different way. They're saying 9 into this number, we don't know what that number is 6. Okay? And so I'm just taking 9 times 6. And that lets me know what that number is because multiplication is the inverse of division. And that's all you're doing. You're just saying 9 times 6 is 54. So that has to be what's inside the bracket is 54. Do what now? Yeah, all we're doing is multiplying this times this. Okay, but I'm just showing it like this so we get rid of, I'm showing it like this so we can see that we're getting rid of it on the left side as well when we move it to the right side. This right here just says, okay, I can cancel those two out, leaving me with the E. But all you're doing, even like on this one up here, right here, all we're doing is, right here, all we were doing is taking 5 times 11. 5 times 11 is 55. Now, did you understand the other ones? The other ones with the plus and these, in other words, these right here. Well, then why didn't you raise your hand earlier? Okay. And basically, let me do one here. Right there. If you look at this one, 13p minus 8 equals 5. So here's what they want. Okay? That's really not a good one to do. Let me make up one. Hang on. Because that one's easy. 5x minus 10 equal 50. Huh? But it's not necessarily easy. Okay, now, I want you to think for a second. X minus 10 equals 50. What would X have to be to subtract 10 from it and get 50? No, 40 minus 10 is 30. 60. So this would have to be 60. Okay? So what we're saying is this 60 has to be in those two numbers. So 5 times what would equal 60? 12. So that's what X is equal to, is 12. And that's all you're doing in your mind. You're just saying, and I can do that on all of these. It's a little bit more difficult when it's a negative. But for example, on this one up here, 3x minus 2 equal 4. Okay? 3x minus 2 equal 4. So what we're saying is, what would x minus 2 equal 4? What would x have to be to subtract 2 from it and get 4? Yeah. In other words, what number do I subtract 2 from and get 4? Okay? What did you do in your head right there to get the 6? Okay, very good. You added 2. There's that step right there that you just did in your head. Okay? So now that we know it's 6, we want to know 3 times what equals 6? 2. Okay? Now what you're doing in your head is dividing by 3, but more than likely you're just remembering your factor tables. You're saying, okay, 3 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6, so it's got to be 2. Okay? But that's what you're doing is you're dividing by 3, and that's this step right here. And that's how you're getting the 2 down there. So you're really just dividing the problem up into 2 things, and I can do it down here with the fraction ones as well. Like I said, it's a little harder. I can show you. Let me show you that one, see if we can get that one to stick for you. X over 9 plus 2 equals negative 7. So what I'm saying is this right here is a blank. And I'm going to add 2 to it, and I'm going to get negative 7. So what number can I add to and get negative 7? First of all, can you add 2 to a positive number and get negative 7? No. Negative 9. So we know that has to be negative 9. Okay? That blank that is represented by x over 9. We know it has to be negative 9. Okay? So what I'm asking myself then, x divided by 9 is equal to negative 9. So what does that number have to be that when I divide 9 into it, I'm going to get a negative 9? Better yet, what number do you divide 9 into to get 9? Huh? No. If I divide 9 into 18, I only get 2. So what number, and what you're doing is this. These 2 things right here, you're multiplying together. Right. And so x is equal to negative 81. And that's all you're doing. You're breaking it down, and sometimes it's easier for people to see it that way. They just break it down in parts and go, okay, here's this one number. We're saying 5 times x is the number, but I know that it's got to equal a number. What is that number? And that's what we did. That's what you're doing right here. You're saying x over 9 has to equal a number. Well, for it to fit into this equation, it has to equal negative 9. Because negative 9 plus 2 gives me negative 7. Well, now that I know that this number is negative 9, I have to plug it in to this part right here and figure out what it is. And so I've got some number right here, and it's over 9. Let me make it. I've got some number over 9, and that's going to equal negative 9. So what does this number have to be for that to be 9? Well, if it was 9, that would be 1. So we know it's not 9. If it was 18, that number would be 2. Well, we know it's not that. If it's 27, that would be 3. And you're just working your way up is all you're doing. Easier way to do it is just simply take 9 times negative 9. Okay, so let me give you another example of that. Let's say it was question mark over 8, and over here I have 12. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to divide 8 into some number and get 12 left up, and give me 12. So, what's that times that? So your answer is 96. 96 over 8 equals 12. So anytime you get to this point, let's say I had f over 6 equals 7. Just remember, here's all you're doing. That times that is what? So f equal 42. If it was f over 6 equal negative 7, then the only difference would be f is equal to negative 42. Okay? And that's what you're doing. And I'm not as concerned about you doing, let me find it. I'm not as concerned in this instance that you're doing that, getting rid of it, if you can see what you're doing. Okay, because eventually that part will come to you in understanding what you're doing. But what I want you to see is there's two parts to this expression. First part is I got to find that one number, and then I got to take that part and find the two parts that equal the one number. Now, I am not giving you a lot of homework tonight, just simply because I want us to try to get this down in 2 days instead of 7. Okay, 7.5, 2 through 14. And we've done probably half of them. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 of them. So we've done half of them in your notes. Okay? So that's due tomorrow. Go ahead and work on it so that way if you run into questions, I don't think you'll run into any questions because we did the first 4.